Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It would seem that the naysayers are coming out for the Batman. Now, I say naysayers. Box office tracking, the first tracking, is now suggesting it's going to come out lower opening weekend than previously expected. Now, I did a previous box office tracking video, like long range and stuff like that. So I think we'll cover this debut weekend because it's interesting to compare the two. And because it is now only a couple of weeks away, we'll be seeing it soon anyway. So it's worthwhile doing these kind of videos. I enjoy them. They're fun. You guys seem to like them. It builds hype. And those that don't like it can comment down below as well. And it's a good forum for discussion. So let's dive into it today, ladies and gents. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. And do turn those bell notifications on. Let's go. So the Batman box office. First tracking suggests $80 million debut weekend. Now this is... yeah, $80 million, not great, not terrible, but it's not absolutely fantastic. So, this is from Scott Mendelson. This chap is notorious over on Twitter. So as promised, Warner Brothers has unleashed advanced ticket sales for the Batman. That includes Wednesday evening preview screenings and the now standard slew of Thursday showings starting as early as 3 p.m. It's interesting that they're still doing that. I get it, their opening weekend is now from a Thursday, basically. So, considering too many theatres barely even open until the afternoon hours, we're almost at the point where Thursday should count as its own day, but I digress. Ironically, Warner Brothers tried to count the Thursday previews for Man of Steel, $21 million, as its own separate day, arguably because they knew word of mouth would be divisive, and they wanted to make the second weekend look, the drop basically look smaller, which makes sense. Anyway, the first official pre-release tickets has opened on the board for The Batman, with indications from sources arguing that The Batman could open with around $80 million. Only $80 million, you say? Well, tracking isn't an exact science, and Warner Brothers has 3 weeks left to go, and we should recall that Batman Begins opens with $72 million over its Wednesday to Sunday debut back in summer of 2005. Now, I think what's even more important to note when we start to talk about these kind of things is actually, pre-sales and things like that. You don't get a lot of that buzz in the UK, right? You just don't. I don't know why. If I talk to my friends and I'm like, "Oh, have you got a ticket for this?" They're like, "No." Very few people, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a ticket. Like, I haven't booked mine. I know I'm going to be able to go see it. Now whether that's indicative of it being bad or not, I don't know, because. I watched Spider-Man No Way Home. Didn't book a ticket for that. Just turned up and bought it. Like, it's fine. And I do think it's geographically minded. There are certain cultures, and there are cultures. American has its own culture. Britain has its own sort of culture as well, how they approach these kind of things. And it just doesn't seem to be that big a thing in the UK. Now, obviously, they are saying domestically, right? They are saying it's going to be $80 million domestic, which isn't worldwide. But it's important to note that although they're saying, well, the indications are only $80 million domestic, that the rest of the world could bump it up anyway. Domestic being the States isn't the be-all and end-all nowadays anyway. So, we haven't had a lot of pre-release tracking offered up since COVID. So a friendly reminder that tracking isn't supposed to be a firm prediction. That's important as well. However, each and every single time they want to roll these things out, whether it be, for good or bad, they always do. So yeah, they're saying, oh, well, we haven't had tracking. So, okay, so what are you measuring this against then? But mainstream media loves to do it, and they're still doing it here. It's supposed to be inside baseball research based on polling and related analysis with information for studios in terms of how well their marketing efforts are working and where they push, pull, and emphasize in the last lap. Second, as I've discussed many times, there was always a chance that the Batman would only make most of the money rather than all of the money, even presuming it's excellent. I've liked every Brian Matt Reeves movie, including the Pallbearer. It's still being sold as not that different from Chris Nolan's Batman Begins. But the thing is, I think it will be. I think this will thrive off word of mouth. I think that's how I think it's going to do well. I think word of mouth will get it. I could be wrong, obviously, but I think it will be word of mouth that really pushes this longer and further. So the acclaimed and terrific Christian Bale starring origin story had to contend with winning fans back after Batman and Robin, while also existing as just a new Batman movie, lacking in butts and scats, stars and marquee baddies. So likewise, The Batman is again a grounded, gritty, real-world crime thriller featuring known but not box office draw actors like Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell and Paul Dano playing realistic versions of villains, Catwoman, Penguin and Riddler, whom we've already seen at least once in a live-action Batman movie. Right, now, again, that's important as well, but what he notes there, I think, is what will get people anyway, is the fact that they are actors. They're good actors. You know, they might not be a box office draw, but do you want to see The Rock in a movie like this? Fuck no. You know, you just don't. Never. Yeah, I mean, they are actors. And I think it would be, again, the word of mouth based on that performance. Personally, I believe, anyway. Now, they say to those not perpetually online or still frothing at the mouth for the notion of another new live-action Batman franchise, well, even Batman Begins earned less domestically than The Wedding Crashers and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in summer 2005, while barely earning more worldwide than Fantastic Four, $330 million. The irony, of course, is that in 2022, The Wedding Crashers would barely have a shot in hell of theatrical glory. That's not to say that the Batman will bomb. It will almost certainly not, but nor should it be automatically treated as the next Spider-Man No Way Home. This is not going to be a Spider-Man No Way Home. I think, like, this film's best bet, make no mistake, like, I think this film's best bet is to be the next Joker, right? Like, it has the potential to be like the Joker. I need to, like, compare the trailers and the response and stuff like that. But the Joker came out of nowhere and did $1 billion worldwide on, like, a was it $60 or $90 million budget? It was nothing. And it was R-rated, and that was without China. The Batman could be poised to be similar. That's what they should have done if they haven't. So we haven't seen it yet, so we can't really comment on it. Now, we know it's not R-rated, but we do know it's from a horror perspective. And again, with the actors, and, you know, they're saying, well, you know, it's just going to be another realistic this and realistic that. True, right? True. But it does seem Matt Reeves is doing something interesting with these realistic versions, these new characters. The ones, yeah, we've seen them before, but realistic. It's a horror movie, you know. It's noir. It's detective work. It's a bit different. There is a difference there. Seems to be, anyway. Again, I could be wrong. Now, you know, this individual just writes about Spider-Man being more popular and things like that. And then they say this, you know, they say two more things. First, we shouldn't expect a penny from China. Again, we don't need China. The Joker evidenced that perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. Now, they say, as the notion of any big Hollywood movie outside of Fast and Furious succeeding in China is now to be taken unlikely. Second, the Batman franchise has mostly been domestically skewed or close to 50-50. The Dark Knight Rises, $448 million, and, well, over $1 billion, and 41% domestic. Dawn of Justice, $330 million to a worldwide of $873, earned 37% domestic. But the earlier 6 live-action modern Batman movies earned more here than there. Now, the good news is that the Batman, which cost closer to Aquaman, $165 million, than Batman vs Superman's $250 million, so it doesn't have to pull Joker-level grosses of $1.073 billion without trying to break even. That's the other thing. I mean, the Joker didn't even need that anyway. It was just a smash it. Now, they say, you know, if it's good, crowd-pleasing, and gets audiences interested in a sequel, a solid gross on par with Doctor Strange, $677 million, or Guardians of the Galaxy, $773 million will be good enough. True, it will be. So, here you go. I mean, there's not much else to really dive into here. I just thought this was an interesting thing to take a look at and explore. You know, the tracking now is that it's going to be opening a little bit less, but tracking, it means nothing. You know, but it's a good gauge just to see what the industry thinks. Right, that's the thing. Tracking doesn't mean anything. Same as Oscar nominations. They don't mean anything. But they're a good gauge of whether the industry themselves are kind of poised against something. And like mainstream media, Scott Mendelsohn, it does sound like he's a little bit sort of skewed against it for some strange reason. You know, maybe he just doesn't like it, I don't know. But let me know your thoughts down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe, like I said, turn the bell notifications on, all that palaver. Follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. H Reviews. Cheers though, guys. Take care and have a great day.